You're listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, where we share topics that will inspire business growth and help you stay ahead of advances in technology before they become mainstream. This episode is sponsored by Ingram Micro Xvantage, the game-changing platform that will transform your business potential and reshape how customers see you. Today on B2B Tech Talk, I'm joined by Melanie Posey. Melanie is the Research Director for the Cloud and Managed Services Transformation at 451 Research, a part of SMB Global Market Intelligence. In addition to managing the research team, Melanie focuses on analyzing the evolution of enterprise IT through the lens of cloud and the associated transformation of IT consumption and delivery models. Melanie also manages 451 Research's Voice of the Enterprise, Cloud, Hosting, and Managed Services offering. So let's dig in with Melanie. Melanie, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
We're here at the Global Cloud and Innovation Summit, where there's a ton of energy going on, especially around the announcements that were made this morning by Sanjeev Sahu, as well as Paul Bay, our CEO. Tell me how you're feeling.
I'm pretty excited about the announcements because, as I think Sajib said, that it's all digital transformation. It's about technology, but it's really about experience. And so I think having this unified experience for your partners to get their business done, transact with each other, and transact with you, it just takes a lot of friction out of the process. And taking friction out means you have more agility, you can get to time to market faster, and you can get to digital business a lot faster.
Absolutely. One of the things that Paul Bay said during his main stage presentation was around moving from transaction to interaction. Cloud, which you mainly follow, has been very much a transactional experience. Where does the interaction now come in?
I think the interaction comes in, as I mentioned before, not just between the vendor and the customers and the partners, but increasingly among the partners themselves. And having a platform takes the friction out of the transactions because there's always going to be a transactional part to business. But to the extent that that can be automated and standardized and streamlined, you have more time to do the interactions part, which is more interesting, not just from a revenue standpoint, but it opens up new opportunities. And one thing I'm particularly excited to see in the industry overall is the new solutions that can come together when you basically have a team, a solutions team together. You've got different pieces of technology, you've got an infrastructure platform, you've got software, you've got go to market, you've got new market expansion. I think it just opens up a whole new world of solutions that can be put out there on the market quickly because digital transformation at the end of the day, it allows you to build fast, go fast, fail fast, lather, rinse, repeat, do it all over again. And you haven't wasted a lot of time in the process. And gold is there and then there are hills somewhere, right?
I completely agree. And also, companies now are, it seems to me, have hired these amazing people, great talent, and basically they've been taking orders and being very transactional, but now freeing up those great minds to be able to be more solution focused and solution providers and gather other people who are, I think opens up a whole new world for innovation.
Oh, absolutely. Because when it's transactional, you're selling products, or at best, you're selling bundles of products. But to now have that front end and the back end together where it's common across the ecosystem, I think a lot of great things can happen. It's the ground needs to be fertile for it to happen. And I think platforms and the ability to have personalized experiences and all of that other digital transformation goodness can make things happen.
From my perspective, having been with Ingram for so long, one of the things that really was very stark for me was the contrast between where we were a few years ago and where we are today. And I really attribute that to amazing leadership and how Sanjeev calls it that spirit, right? The spirit of innovation. Uh, Ingram is a 40-year-old company. To see it pivot to where it is today, for me, is just amazing because I saw it happen in such a short period of time. And the associates and the partners seem to be very excited. What are you hearing?
I'm hearing something similar. I mean, obviously, there are a lot of companies that didn't quite make the transition as the world changed. I mean, sure, we all need a PC, we all need a printer, and that's what this business used to be, was distributing hardware. But cloud came along, and you've got AI and machine learning, and you've got IoT and edge. You have all of these different technology pieces now that on their own are just pieces, are just boxes. So we needed to have this pivot, not just among the vendors in the industry, but a pivot in the way ecosystems happen, the way distribution happens, the way that resellers get enabled. So I'm really excited to see a lot of the combinations. And one of the things I think is really fascinating with this digital ecosystem type economy is that you'll see AWS on stage, followed by Microsoft. I mean, these companies all compete, but you also have to cooperate and collaborate to survive right now because, like consumers, businesses have a world of choice out there in front of them, but what they need are solutions that integrate it, stitch it all together so you can use it to do something. So it's not just technology that's kind of a cost center, it's technology, solutions, new business ideas as the engine of digital business.
So, what I'm hearing is Ingram is doing its very best to take down those silo walls.
Exactly.
But I think also the vendors are trying to take down their competitive siloed walls to be able to cooperate, to collaborate, and provide a better customer experience. That's what I'm hearing. Is that
Exactly. I mean, everybody has their own unique technology, their own IP, their own way of doing things, their own way to differentiate. And an ecosystem type of arrangement allows you to get your solutions in front of different people, maybe combine the best of different technologies into something that works for the customer. And that's ultimately what's driving a lot of this co-opetition activity in the market, is that company A may think we have the best solution for the customer, but if the customer tells you something different,
right?
then you have to do something.
Right. Absolutely. Want to talk about AI for a second?
Okay.
Devil or angel?
It's all about how it's used. It's all about the applications at the end of the day, because technology is value neutral in a way. Like a piece of tech has no notion of right or wrong. It's the people behind the technology. And I think anything that sort of amalgamates information in a way that all the world's information is right here. Here are ways to extract it and put it to use. That's all good. But obviously, safeguards need to be put in place. And frankly, common sense needs to live in that mix somewhere as well. So it's a tool like anything else.
Do you think it requires governance?
I'm not so sure that the technology itself requires governance. I think when it's applied to different business processes or different scenarios you might encounter in government or medicine or whatever other industry, that's where the governance needs to take place. That AI cannot be used to do bad things like discriminate against
Right,
people or, unfairly advantage one group versus another group or, slander, defamation, whatever. So I think it's incumbent on a lot of the industries that are looking to incorporate some kind of AI into their business operations, make some rules about it, be transparent about it, think through all the scenarios the technology can be used for, and, tote up the pluses and minuses and make that the basis for deciding whether to do it or not.
Absolutely. Well, that makes total sense. So governance mainly by industry, not an overarching governance just for the sake of let's make rules against about this. And
Exactly.
who knows, like one size is not going to fit all.
Exactly.
As with most things. But I kind of feel like I obviously remember when the internet came about and everybody was super scared
Right,
then,
right.
right? So it feels like that all over again.
It does. It does. And, there were some bumps along the way. And I think taking the experience from the early days of the internet and applying some of those lessons to AI as it moves more and more into business and into the economy, well, we maybe know some of the things at least to look out for now.
So I'm going to pivot just a little bit because both of us have been in the industry for a long time. And as a woman, it's been a bit of a challenge. Years ago, I was probably the only female in my company that was talking about technology. We've certainly come a long way, but have we come far enough?
In some ways we have, in some ways we haven't. I think since the early days when you and I got started in this business, there there has been a generational shift. So generations will produce change regardless. And I think the other shift is as we move from hardware to software, I think that opens things up for a lot of different people because, you couldn't back in the day, you could not configure a Cisco router, from home, right?
Right.
And you can write code
Right.
from anywhere. And we have collaboration, video conferencing systems that allow employers to cast a wider net in terms of talent they want to bring into the organization. So I think that's one thing that's changed. And I'm always really heartened when I talk to my younger colleagues who are in their 20s or 30s, and there's a lot they won't put up with anymore that we had no choice but to put up with, or we didn't know we had a voice to say no.
So glad that you brought that up because I feel the same way. I remember back in the day, you just kept your head down, you did your job. And I was always afraid that if I spoke up, that it would somehow affect my job.
Right.
So I would not talk about ideas or innovation because I was so worried about keeping my job.
Right.
But I agree with you. The new generation is like, I got something to say.
Yeah.
And they say it, and I love it.
Yes.
I love that they feel empowered. I also love the fact that a lot of them are choosing jobs and careers that align with their values. And that was also not the case when I started out. It was like, oh, you're going to give me a job? I'll take it.
Absolutely.
Really didn't think about value alignment or anything like that. So I find that a very refreshing change for where the industry has gone. You have been an absolute delight
Oh, well,
to
thank
speak
you.
with. Thank you so much, Melanie, for joining the show. Melanie Posey, folks, from Research 451. Thank you again for being my guest.
Thanks a lot.
You've been listening to Ingram Micro's B2B Tech Talk. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode and you want to continue the conversation online, use hashtag B2B Tech Talk.